I don't think so. Oh, my gun's not full auto.
Oh, he's so low.
So sometimes in extraction shooters, you just want to use the most meta weapons no matter how much it costs. So in this video, we're going to go over what I think is still one of the top 3 meta weapons in the game, and that is the AEK. And make sure to subscribe for tons of videos on Arena Breakout Infinite and other upcoming extraction shooters. Now there's a few things that make the AEK so incredibly strong, and one of the main ones is that it's 7.62 by 3.9 caliber, so it's one of the bigger rounds, but you mix that with the 800 RPM and you have a weapon that can do basically everything. You can do the long range tapping, you can do medium range sprays, and head to head against pretty much any other weapon in the game, you have a good chance of winning. And not only that, but it still has pretty good stats along with that. 81 vertical recoil, 78 horizontal recoil, a decent 50 ergo, so pretty much everything about this weapon is quite strong. So starting off the build, you have the AEK stock adapter, then on that you have the AR premium extended tube, and then that you have the carbine industrial stock, and then on that you have the butt pad for that. And like pretty much every other meta weapon build in the game, this is going to be a large part of how expensive this weapon actually is. But then we have the dedicated AEK Picatinny dust cover, then you can put whatever sight on that you want. I just really like using the 30mm rail sight mount with the 1x 6x, just in my opinion the best scope in the game if you have a weapon that can be used at longer ranges, but you can still use whatever sight you want. Then we're going to be using the AKM series 50 round drum. Now you do have a bunch of other drums you could use. You could use like a 73 rounder or a 75 rounder or even a 100 rounder if you really wanted, but I think those drop the ergo too much, so I just think using the 50 rounder is going to be fine. You really don't need much more than a 50 rounder. Then we're using the AEK standard handguard. Now you can't actually use a tactical device if you're using this handguard, but this handguard gives the best stats. If you want to use a tactical device, you have to use the AEK improved handguard that's more expensive and actually has a little bit worse stats, so keep that in mind. But generally you really don't need tactical devices unless you want to use like a flashlight or something. Then the grip we're going to be using is a lightweight tactical vertical front grip. Now this thing, last time I checked, was like 150k, so if you want to save a bit on this, you can use the B25 tilt front grip. That's usually like half or less than half, and it only drops your vertical recoil by 2, so that can save you quite a bit through that as well. And I think most of the time, even when you're in like forbidden runs going against meta geared players, a lot of them will still just use the B25 tilt front grip because the lightweight vertical front grip is just so expensive. But then for our muzzle device, we're using the 7.62 by 3.9 suppressor. But then we have your ammo. Now with a weapon like this, the best built version of this weapon, and it's one of the meta weapons in the game, I would recommend you don't use any of these starting ammos. The only 2 ammos I'd recommend is BP, which is tier 4 penning, or AP, which is tier 5 penning. And generally what I'd recommend is if you're in lockdown, go with BP. These are like 1800 to 2000 a round. They have 55 base damage. They have 45 pen, 23 armor damage. A pretty good overall round. I think one of the better tier 4 penning rounds when everything is added in with the price and the stats, so pretty good round. And again, if you're in lockdown, use BP. If you're in forbidden zone, you use AP. That's 6500 to 7k a round, probably more like 6800 or 7000. And this is tier 5 penning, 45 base damage, 54 pen, 32 armor damage. I think AP is actually one of the better tier 5 penning rounds. It's obviously going to be really expensive like all tier 5 penning rounds are, but if you're in forbidden zone, you're probably going to need this because BP can fight players with tier 5 armor. Can't really fight tier 6, you'd have to break their armor, but tier 5 and below BP is good for. AP is going to shred tier 5, but it's really going to be the only round that can actually fight against tier 6. That's why you really need this for forbidden. So that's the best overall build for the AEK, and this is still one of the best weapons in the game. I think if you go in forbidden and are facing against top tiered players, you're primarily going to be seeing things like HKs and AEKs. And also, if you're doing that and killing other players with AEKs, keep in mind, if you take the mag out of the AEK, AEKs are incredibly small, so you can come out of raid with a bunch of these if you're, say, going into forbidden, but definitely one of the more fun weapons to use as well. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.
don't think so. Oh, my gun's not full auto.
Oh, he's so low.
Yeah.
I
My pistol's full auto. Damn. Is it B for changing? Is it B?
Yeah, B for your fire.
Oh, so it's a single shot. Yeah, I think it's
The G17.
yeah, it's a G17.
Yeah, the 18C, not the 18C, it's the water one.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
You know, I thought the same thing the other night.
Oh, there's a big man's right here.
I got some. I'll fuck these guys.
They're gonna open my door. They open my door. Fuck these hoes. Alright. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Race, race, waste. Run that motherfucker. Run that motherfucker. Run.